I feel like my retreat has made me tongue-tied. I don't know how to speak, as I haven't spoken for a long time. This is because it has been 2 years now, nearly 3 years, since the pandemic began. In fact, everyone has been working very hard. Some are physically ill, and I deeply regret that I haven't been able to reply to many of our fellow practitioners' messages on WeChat. Looking back at all the WeChat messages, now that I have emerged from retreat to browse through them, I see that basically, if it isn't physical illness, it is mental illness. It is just these two types of sickness. Sometimes the mind suffers, and sometimes the body suffers. When comparing the body and the mind, I think the body is still the priority. Because of physical suffering, some practitioners have developed terminal illnesses or are hospitalized, and some have been infected by the pandemic, contracting COVID-19, and so on. At such times, when the mind is uneasy, people look for a place of refuge. So, let us first talk about this physical suffering. When our bodies are sick, or when we are facing the possibility of death, what Dharma method should we use? At this time, I suggest that everyone practice the Amitabha Buddha Recitation method. This does not mean we are simply preparing for death to attain rebirth in the Pure Land. That is not its sole purpose. Instead, it provides double insurance when we face rebirth. Because we have not yet seen through death, we cannot yet see birth and death as flowers in the sky, nor have we reached the state where death and nirvana are the same. We still feel fear toward death. Therefore, I suggest everyone practice Amitabha Buddha Recitation method, Nianfo. One aspect of Nianfo is upholding and reciting the name, and while holding the name, one should simultaneously practice samatha vipassana. That is to say, through the continuous pure mindfulness of Mahastama-prapta Bodhisattva, which means the purification of the 6 sense faculties, one should recite the Buddha's name with single-minded devotion. There is also the practice of Shixiang Nianfo. You should practice Shixiang Nianfo at the same time. What is Shixiang Nianfo? To practice it, you must first understand the Shixiang, the ultimate reality of all phenomena in the universe. This understanding is divided into 2 parts. One is the understanding of emptiness, and the other is the realization of emptiness. Understanding comes through studying the sutras and listening to the Idumen chat videos. Through these, you will understand what is meant by dependent origination and emptiness of nature, pratijasa, mutpada, and shunyata. Dependent origination and emptiness of nature is quite simple. It means that all phenomena in the universe manifest through the gathering of various conditions, yet their essence is ultimately empty. This is the literal understanding. For example, you were born from your mother and father. Your mother was born from your grandparents. But if you keep asking, where did the very first person come from? You will always be asking for the first cause. Everything like this cup exists because of clay, high heat, a designer, a painter, and so on. When all conditions are sufficient, the cup appears before us and we buy it. But where is the first cause? Buddhism speaks about the first cause. For instance, this clay, where did that first grain of dust come from? The clay itself arises from many conditions, and the designer also arises from many conditions. Pushing back and back, there must be a first cause, right? Where did it come from? However, in Buddhism, it is said that there is no first cause. Everything arises from delusive thoughts. This means that the dependent origination of all conditions is ultimately empty. All the conditions, the universe, time, space, and all phenomena that you see are manifested from emptiness. Because we are in the midst of upside-down dreaming, the Saha world is manifested. The Saha world is a world of upside down. Samsara, rebirth. It is not ultimate. It is not perfect. It has many flaws and regrets. This is because of our upside-down dreaming. We have not seen the real mark, the truth. If we can, through cultivation and realization, purify our 6 sense bases and so on, our world will also become very perfect. Although we might not reach the state of the great nirvana experienced by Shakyamuni and all the Buddhas, it would still be very perfect. But currently, we are in upside down dreaming, which is very painful at times. What we see, hear, feel, and know feels very flawed. Dependent origination and emptiness of nature means that all conditions, all the phenomena of the universe you see are like water turning into ice, ice turning into vapor, and vapor turning back into water. The phenomena appear different, but the essence is always emptiness. We might ask, if everything is emptiness, why can't this emptiness manifest beautiful and good things? Why must it manifest suffering? It is because of your habitual tendencies and desires. You are constantly indulging in desires and upside-down dreaming, failing to see the real mark. Therefore, we are always chasing after wrong views or following greed, anger, ignorance, arrogance, and doubt. Consequently, we often see things like killing, stealing, and sexual misconduct in this world, along with the corresponding time and space that match those actions. Therefore, all conditions are actually manifestations of emptiness. In cultivation, if you return to emptiness, you take your destiny into your own hands. You can manifest beautiful things and cease manifesting evil ones. This is understanding realization, understanding dependent origination and emptiness of nature intellectually. Then there is witnessing realization, which is understanding real mark Nianfo and understanding the real mark. Witnessing realization is what the Buddha described. As you sit here, your original nature is Buddha. Our original nature is Tathagata. However, your six sense bases are in the midst of upside-down dreaming. Through seeing, hearing, feeling, and knowing, your six sense bases are constantly creating karma and dreaming upside down. Thus, these six sense bases are like six knots. If we untie these six knots, we can return to our original source. Untying the knots of the six sense bases takes a long time. Because from the moment we were conceived in our mother's womb, from the union of the father's essence and mother's blood, these six bases were formed. Therefore, untying them requires time. You have 5 layers of delusion to untie. Among these 5 layers, the hardest one to untie is the subtle, the very subtle, upside-down delusive thoughts. It is no longer a matter of conscious thoughts. You cannot detect it. For example, things in the memory of our alaya vijnana storehouse consciousness. Perhaps something happened in your childhood that you haven't thought of your whole life. But suddenly, one day, a friend who experienced it with you appears and speaks of it, and it becomes vivid in your memory again. In this life, it may not seem to affect your cultivation, but it is still stored in your memory. It only manifests when it encounters a condition. This spans across lifetimes. Our memory information remains. When you meet someone with whom you have a connection from a certain past life, the retribution from that life appears. If you don't meet them, that retribution does not appear. So these things are also part of delusive thoughts. It is no longer a matter of thoughts that you are aware of. You don't even know you have these things. Therefore, it requires very, very subtle samadhi power to detect them. Your awareness and power of illuminating observation must be very refined. This means you must cultivate and realize continuously, which takes time. Furthermore, the growing of hair and nails, the movement of meridians, and cellular metabolism and renewal, these are all delusions, instinctive delusions. All instinctive reactions are delusions. But liberating oneself from these delusions takes a long time. So, some of us may need to cultivate for several years to achieve some witnessing realization, and this realization is the realization of the real mark. In this process, for example, if we are already 60 or 70 years old this year, does it mean we have no time to realize it in this life? Not necessarily. We can still see the nature. 践行. Seeing the nature is possible because our emptiness is always right here. We might see it by chance. How do we see it? You must know. First, You practice samatha vipassana and cultivate purity. Your six sense bases must be pure, no longer taking in new things, the six bases of seeing, hearing, feeling, and knowing. The six sense bases must not be disturbed by external objects. Whatever your eyes see, ignore it. Whatever your ears hear, ignore it. Close your eyes and don't look. Sit there and practice samatha vipassana, being pure, the purity of the six sense bases. Is it not time, space, and sentient beings that affect you? Is it not your sense bases, sense objects, and consciousness? In Buddhism, these are called the six sense bases, the six sense objects, the environment, and the consciousness you produce. Together, they are called the 18 dhatu realms. Bases, objects, and consciousness are all affecting you. When you sit there practicing samatha vipassana, these bases, objects, and consciousness are constantly disturbing you, causing you to dream upside down. You yourself are also dreaming upside down. Bases and objects share the same source. As you dream upside down, you create bases and objects, and those in turn stimulate you. It is a continuous, self-generating cycle from the same source. However, if we cultivate to a particularly good point one day, when the time, place, and conditions are all aligned, suddenly in that instant, the bases, objects, and consciousness no longer affect you. That is something you bump into. But if you hadn't worked hard before, you wouldn't bump into it. One day, the bases, objects, and consciousness suddenly stop affecting you. The six bases, six objects, and six consciousnesses are suddenly pure, as if they have no influence. Suddenly, emptiness manifests itself. That moment is what is meant by illuminating the mind and seeing the nature. What is illuminated and what is seen? Because there are no bases, objects, or consciousness, not even the six sense bases. There isn't a person there seeing the nature. There isn't a thing being seen. It is an awakening. Because bases, objects, and consciousness are a dream, and that dream suddenly has a moment of clarity. It is like sleeping in bed and suddenly waking up for a moment. Some people wake up thoroughly, while others do not. Therefore, regarding this sudden enlightenment, some realize it deeply and then cultivate after enlightenment, having fewer delusions. Others may fall back into delusion the very next second, as their habitual tendencies and desires are still very heavy. But at that moment, he woke up for a second, he knew the state of being awake, and he saw his original nature. This is called sudden enlightenment. Seeing the nature, or seeing one's original face, seeing one's original self. Seeing the nature and illuminating the mind and seeing the nature are just ways of saying it. It is actually an awakening, a momentary awakening. When the bases, objects, and consciousness no longer affect you, that moment of sudden enlightenment is called illuminating the mind and seeing the nature. During this process of cultivating samatha vipassana and purifying the six sense bases, this may happen many times. It may appear many times, but if the sky is not fully bright, it is not yet called great enlightenment.
But is that one experience of seeing the nature different from the seeing the nature of great enlightenment? In essence, there is no difference.
It is like a frog at the bottom of a well looking at the sky. Is the sky it sees different from the sky seen by a great pung bird soaring in the heavens? It is the same sky. It's just that the frog's view is too limited, and there are still many obstacles. But the sky is still the same sky. Even if what is seen is small, it is still the sky. So, in essence, there is no problem. But in terms of manifesting supernatural powers and many other matters, you are different. After you return to the red dust, the mundane world, you will still be deluded about many things. That is to say, for those whose witnessing realization is not thorough, who are half awake and half asleep, that one experience still counts as waking up a bit. However, your mind of the way will become very firm. That one experience of seeing the nature will give you great confidence. It is a huge encouragement, and you will gain a decisive view. You will feel, I truly am a Buddha, and you will never doubt it again. Therefore, it will determine your mind of the way and your bodhicitta. They will not be lost. So seeing the nature is quite important. On the long path to Buddhahood, before we have achieved it, seeing the nature is a very important milestone. So, if you are pure and watch for the right time, place, and conditions, you might just bump into it. When the six bases, objects, and the consciousness no longer affect you, and suddenly the bases and objects fall away, it is called the bottom of the bucket falling out. What is called isn't important. What matters is that in that moment, you awakened. Therefore, awakening is not about seeing something. If you look at those Changzi and Gonglangs, some people awakened when a pillow hit the floor, some when a cup broke. What does a cup have to do with becoming a Buddha? What does a pillow have to do with it? Nothing. It's just that suddenly their bases and objects fell away in truth. The external environment stopped affecting them. But if you want to liberate yourself from samsara, we study Buddhism because we are suffering in body and mind. So we want to be liberated from suffering. However, people haven't yet experienced the suffering of samsara because they have forgotten it. Everyone has forgotten the matter of samsara. Because at the time of rebirth, one doesn't know about the previous life, so the suffering of samsara doesn't feel urgent. As your cultivation and realization progress, don't worry first. Liberate yourself from suffering bit by bit. As long as you practice samatha vipassana and purity, eventually you will know about samsara. You will recall things from past lives, and you will know why you are experiencing these hardships in this life. For example, if someone is heartbroken after a breakup, they suffer greatly and cry. Many people message me saying, I've had a breakup, I can't get over it, teacher, what should I do? But the issue is, you want to get over the relationship with that person. You don't necessarily want to be liberated from suffering itself. In truth, suffering is all pervasive. If you are always in upside down dreaming, then you will have suffering in your career, fame, wealth, and relationships. There is the suffering of not getting what one wants and the suffering of being separated from what one loves. Even if two people love each other very much, what happens if one dies one day? One must always leave first. It's impossible to go at the same time. So, it is not just that there is much suffering in the human world. Ultimately, you must renounce samsara and exit suffering. You should want to exit suffering, not just be liberated from that one person. We must think bigger. Only then can we be liberated in small matters. If your goal is high and far-reaching, you can endure small hardships. Just like if you want to get into a university, you can endure 10 years of hard study. If you only want to endure enough to get a perfect score on one test, you might not make it. Once you get the score, you just go off to play. You must think further ahead. This involves one part being witnessing realization and another being understanding realization. Witnessing realization is liberating the six sense spaces, reaching the standard of the six sense spaces functioning in perfect penetration with each other. This is witnessing realization. Also, in the long process of witnessing realization, there is seeing the nature. This is a step in the process of witnessing realization and understanding the real mark. When you understand these things, however you practice Nianfo, it is called a real mark Nianfo because you have realized the real mark. Then there is understanding realization. We look at the Yidu Gate website or listen to sutras, and we can say things like, what is dependent origination and emptiness of nature? We can even memorize it. Educated people can explain it clearly. This counts as understanding realization. Understanding realization doesn't have much power on its own. Frequent understanding realization does have some power. However, if you immerse yourself in the Dharma every single day, you will eventually treat it as your standard and direction for living. However, if someone is just very clever and they see it, study it, and understand it intellectually, oh, I see what dependent origination and emptiness is. This person may have a high IQ, but if they have no realization power and are still heavy with greed, anger, ignorance, arrogance, and doubt, it will only increase their arrogance of the self. They will think, look how great I am. I can even understand the Buddha's teachings. This actually increases arrogance and rarely provides strength. When they encounter temptation, they immediately run after it, unable to resist at all. When they run after temptation, it's not a big deal. Those are just enjoyments. But when they encounter hardship, they also can't handle it. They suffer greatly. It's as if Buddhism doesn't work. As if the things Shakyamuni Buddha spent lifetimes practicing Dharma giving to give us are unusable. That would be such a pity. If you want to move from understanding realization, you must immerse yourself in the Dharma every day, constantly and repeatedly, centering yourself. What exactly is emptiness? What is my original face? Why am I so miserable? Constantly engage in hearing, contemplating, and cultivating. Hearing, contemplating, and cultivating, witnessing realization is built on the foundation of hearing and contemplating, plus practicing to see the nature and see your original self. The Buddha said that this ego is not us. Our original nature is Buddha. What exactly is my emptiness? This thing that has no form or sign, he says, it is always right here. He says, even though I am a human today, I have reincarnated as a human, and within the triple realm and 6 paths, we humans are relatively low-level beings. I have reincarnated into this low-level being. But, he says, emptiness is the same for him. Emptiness is still here, and the original nature is still Tathagata. Because the Tathagata is unstained. No matter what I reincarnate as or what bad things I do, it cannot stain my Tathagata emptiness. So, can I just take a look at that perfect, unstained thing? That beautiful thing has been following you all along. The Buddha said in the Lotus Sutra that you are like a poor son. You are so poor that you wander the world. Yet all along, a money jewel was sewn into the lining of your clothes. It's just a matter of when you will take that jewel out to use it. That is your emptiness. Of course, if you have witnessing realization through hearing, contemplating, and cultivating, and then through realizing the real mark, you will also have supernatural powers and transformations. Most importantly, everything will be in your own hands. Your destiny will be in your hands, and time and space will be in your hands. You will have ease in eating, and ease in sleeping, ease in whether you get sick or not, and ease in birth and death. You could live for a long time, or you could decide when to die. This is true witnessing realization in the Sambhogakaya, reward body. This is a realizer of the way. In fact, Buddhism is just this much. This is about real mark Nianfo, understanding the real mark while reciting the Buddha's name. Usually, practicing real mark Nianfo requires hearing, contemplating, and cultivating. It requires frequently listening to Dharma talks. It has high requirements. So most people today use name holding and visualization, 光相念佛. Holding the name is relatively simple, just reciting the name of Amitabha Buddha. However, if you are interested in emptiness, then while reciting Amitabha's name, you should also collect the mind, so that you have few desires and the mind becomes still, and the 6 sense bases are not affected. For example, if we are sick, we should not be affected by the illness. Of course, sometimes it hurts, sometimes it's uncomfortable. If it affects you, then let it hurt. Let it be uncomfortable. Go and get treatment. But during the treatment, you must have a refuge in your heart that the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are with you, because you are reciting the name of Amitabha Buddha. Because Amitabha is called infinite light and infinite life, he can be omnipresent. All Buddhas can be omnipresent. They transcend time and space. So as long as you believe, he will be with you. That is your refuge. This is name-holding Nianfo. If you still have time in this world, we have 70 or 80 years at most, maybe 100. So if we still have 50 or 60 years to live, then besides eating, drinking, and sleeping, we can also practice samatha vipassana through Nianfo. That is, using a single Buddha name to collect the mind, then hearing, contemplating, and cultivating the principle of emptiness. If we can see the nature in this life, we see the nature. If we cannot, we continue to cultivate. Even if you don't see the nature midway, it doesn't mean you haven't made progress. You have been cultivating all along. At first, it is the liberation of the mind nature. While the mind nature is being liberated, your physical and mental meridians are also opening and untying. The meridians belong to the form body. In fact, this form body is also a solid illusion. It's just that we don't see it that way now. Because Western medicine talks about bones, skin, and organs, we care about it very much. In the process of liberation, it gradually unties. After it is completely untied, only then do you discover that it was a delusion. Before it is untied, it is very solid, like a stone wall. That is how you cultivate. The more and the longer you understand the emptiness of Buddhism, and the deeper your consciousness is centered by it, the more your confidence will grow. When you are sick or in hardship, only then will you think of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and think that they are with you. Also, for those who have been practicing for many years, some have been watching the Yidu Gate website for 7 or 8 years. Some who have practiced for many years feel they have no power at all. They feel, my theory is about there. I've read many sutras, so why do I have no power? Supernatural powers and transformations are out of the question. Occasionally I have a bit of extraordinary ability, but it's gone in 2 days. I seem to vaguely know about this penetration or that penetration. But why? In fact, as I observe you, the vast majority of people have not attained right samadhi. The reason they cannot attain right samadhi is, first of all, because of the lustful mind, Yingxing. As I mentioned yesterday, this lustful mind is the most important standard affecting right samadhi. If the lustful mind is not exhausted, because we are mostly lay people, and of course being a monastic doesn't mean the lustful mind is exhausted either. It is because we were reincarnated here due to that single thought of lust from our parents. Because parents have lust, and there is lust in the sperm and egg, even test tube babies have lust. We come from a single thought of lust from our parents. This thing requires a very long time of cultivation and realization to purify. Within this lustful mind, there are habitual tendencies like possession, jealousy, hatred, suspicion, and conquest. It carries many habits. If these are not purified, your samadhi is not right samadhi. Even if you have many states in your samadhi, where you can manifest countless bodies, that might be based more on your cultivation in past lives. In this life, if you cannot attain right samadhi, you cannot ascend the stages, Bumi. If your mind and nature has no problem transforming, and you become more and more enlightened in mind nature, but you want to ascend the stages, you must have supernatural powers in your physical body. A stage ascending bodhisattva, even at the first stage, has transformations and supernatural powers. The reason you cannot realize this is because of this lustful mind. Yesterday, as soon as I came out of retreat, I talked with you all about how to purify this mental lust and the issue of cutting off the lustful mind. Immediately, someone sent me a WeChat message. Teacher, we can't cut it off. Don't tell us those things. It's too hard. Falling in love is the happiest thing. If we don't fall in love, living feels like being dead. This happens with young people. Some say, I cut it off all at once. Well, that's you. But some 20-year-olds or 18 or 19-year-olds say, we want to cultivate, but we want to fall in love. It makes us happy. We feel we have passion in love. Otherwise, we have no passion. Are you asking us to renounce love and desire now? We can't do it. So, everyone, don't be in a hurry. If you don't want to cut it off, just keep it for now. It's okay. Even if you beat your chest and say you can cut it off, it doesn't mean you will cut it off immediately. When this thing encounters conditions, many more conditions are produced. With cultivation and realization, it happens slowly. It's a matter of time. But what I am telling you is that attaining right samadhi is a path you must take. If you cannot cut off lust, You cannot attain right samadhi. This is a very fixed standard. Only when you purify the 6 sense bases does right samadhi arise. The lustful mind is where many habitual tendencies appear, many habits that cause you great suffering. This lust is like a poison, like crystal meth. It constantly disturbs your mental thoughts. That's how it is. If you can't get rid of it, it's okay. Just keep cultivating as you are. No one can cut off the lustful mind as soon as they start cultivating. Everyone has to cultivate for over 10 years, sometimes before it gradually fades. But this cutting off is a purification. It gradually purifies and sublimes into love, universal love and compassion. Because we have mixed lust into love and affection, mixed in lust, we have mixed in jealousy, possession, control, and conquest, all these selfish things, and then killing, stealing, and the sexual misconduct are committed. The Mahayana path is about the mind. If you have jealousy, anger, resentment, or suspicion, you have a killing mind, a stealing mind, and a thieving mind. Because when you are jealous, as I often say, you almost wish the other person would die. And if you are ambiguous, flirting, is that not a thieving mind? When you see a handsome man or a beautiful woman, don't you think, does she love me? You want to ask them, wanting in your heart to occupy a place in their heart. Actually, this is also a thieving mind. But this thieving mind is quite cute. It's not a big deal. Not something terribly embarrassing. You hope everyone loves you, and you hope to love everyone. This is very normal. But when that love gets too close, we want to possess it. We want to stick to it. We want to control it. We want that person to belong only to us and not love anyone else. Then you suffer. If they don't listen to you, you suffer. So everyone's pain in relationships is related to this. We are just saying that when a problem appears, we look at where it went wrong. I'm not saying everyone must cut it off right now. However, people who have exhausted the lustful mind do not suffer in relationships because they have no mental lust. Those who return by their vows have no mental lust. Also, their lustful mind is very easily exhausted. That part from the father's essence and mother's blood is quickly cut off through cultivation. At that point, they are not hurt in family, friendship, or romantic love. But before one has finished cultivating away the father's essence and mother's blood, one will still be hurt. Everyone is like this. They feel they have a deep love with nowhere to put it. A heart like a bright moon. A heart that is incredibly beautiful. Regardless of whether we are disabled. Even if we are sick, even if we are very seriously ill, lying on a hospital bed, even as we are dying, we feel that our pool of true feelings has been failed by this world. Also, that heart of ours like a bright moon cannot be entrusted to anyone. There is no soulmate, no one to cherish it. Feelings must be placed somewhere, anchored somewhere. Because humans feel there is no knowing tone, soulmate. No one to cherish that holy perfect feeling of yours. We anchor it in mountains and rivers. Anchor it in the Buddha Dharma. Anchor it in music, chess, calligraphy, and painting. Anchor it in incense way, tea way. Anchor it in pets. Anchor it in many places. But no matter where you anchor it, take that feeling out and look at it. In that feeling of yours, the reason you are hurt is not that this world doesn't cherish your feeling. It is that within your feeling, there are many selfish things. That is, there is lust, the habit of mental lust. Possession, control, jealousy, it's still those things. Because greed, anger, ignorance, arrogance, doubt, jealousy, resentment, complaining, suspicion, possession, control, and conquest, these desires and habits are the causes that create hell, the seeds of hell. So after a breakup, we instantly fall into hell. Sometimes when we break up, we love someone very much and they no longer love us. You instantly experience the suffering of the Avicii hell. See, it is very bitter, a bitter heart. Don't I often describe it for you? My heart is broken. It's truly like that. The suffering is so sudden that the heart, liver, spleen, and lungs all feel shattered. I can't live, and then you can't go on. I can't go on. I'm done for. I'm dying of bitterness. Where is the bitterness? The eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and body. Nothing has fallen off. But it is truly bitter. That's how it is. Someone in this world failed your feelings. People even become depressed over time, or get various emotional illnesses, nervous system illnesses actually. These are all related to mental lust. This mental lust is something everyone has. It's in the father's essence and mother's blood. It is carried in them. If we didn't have it, we wouldn't come. So don't blame your mom and dad. Don't go back and say, look, we are just like you. Look at what you gave birth to. If you didn't have the perception of feelings and mental lust, you wouldn't have been summoned to be reborn here. But perhaps you are all returning by your vows, so you will cut it off more quickly. If you want to be liberated from this suffering, and also cultivate for attaining rebirth in the Pure Land, we recite the Buddha's name. For example, if you cultivate Pure Land, name holding Nianfo, or whatever, there is also the issue of aspiration. Everyone wants to go to the Land of Ultimate Bliss because they feel this world is very bitter and they want to go to the Pure Land to enjoy happiness. Because it is ultimate bliss, they first think of the happiness there. But when I teach you to make an aspiration, it must not be like that. I want to go to Amitabha's place to enjoy myself. You must say, I want to be reborn in the Western Land of Ultimate Bliss, to be like Amitabha Buddha, helping the beings of the triple realm, the 6 paths, and the worlds of the 10 directions. I want to become a Buddha. I want to achieve Anuttara, Samyak, Sambodhi, unsurpassed, right and perfect enlightenment. The purpose of my rebirth is so that in the future, I can be like Amitabha Buddha and also like Shakyamuni Buddha, entering into everyone's dreams, into their dream states, to tell them there is a path to liberation, that there are other beautiful worlds they can be reborn into. Entering into the sea of suffering of sentient beings like bodhisattvas such as Amitabha, coming into our dream states to tell us there is a path to liberation. That even in the sea of suffering, there is a path to liberation. If you cannot liberate yourself, there is also the Western Land of Ultimate Bliss you can go to. Without Shakyamuni Buddha's Dharma giving, we wouldn't know about this. Someone always has to come and tell us. Amitabha Buddha, in that word, is constantly creating perfect things for you. For example, if you like the internet and so on, Wi-Fi is already set up there, just waiting for you. Otherwise, people might go there and say it's no good because the Wi-Fi is cut off, right? But you must arouse the Bodhi mind, Bodhicitta, and then seek rebirth in the Western Land of Ultimate Bliss. Don't always think about going there to enjoy life. I'm too miserable. I need to leave quickly. If you don't arouse bodhicitta, then everyone might commit suicide, I tell you. When it's too miserable, you'd say, I'm dying of bitterness. I don't want to live in this world. Teacher, can you think of a way? So you cannot make an aspiration like that. You should arouse this. We came to the Saha world, like Shakyamuni Buddha, entering the sea of suffering. We are Mahayana Bodhisattvas. We enter the dreams of sentient beings. And of course, we entered our own dreams as well. We got lost. As soon as we came, we got lost. Well, since I'm here, it's only 100 years total. I can endure it. I can persist for 100 years. Then make an aspiration for long life, not to die yet. And then cultivate and realize yourself. Because you have encountered the Buddha Dharma, you should cultivate and realize and wake up quickly. Then, just like Shakyamuni Buddha, introduce the path to liberation and this world of Amitabha Buddha to those around you with whom you have good affinity. This is what you should do. Some practitioners say, Teacher, my body is not good. My mindset is not good. I'm also depressed. Look, all I see every day is bleak wind and miserable rain. There is no happiness or joy to speak of before my eyes. I can no longer see it. And you still want me to arouse the mind to save sentient beings? I just want to escape quickly. Because I'm in too much pain. I must have an anesthetic. Some say, teacher, I can't arouse it. You are teaching me now, but I'm very miserable. I say, I aroused Bodhicitta. I want to achieve Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. I want to be like Amitabha and Shakyamuni Buddha in this world, sharing the path to liberation that I know everything I know. Because after all, you've lived for 30, 40, 50 years. You know things that some people don't know. The things you are sitting here hearing today, many people haven't heard. You can tell them. Then that is your value in this world. You can tell them that this world has a path to liberation. And there is another world outside our time and space, to the west of the Saha world. There is such a world that is very perfect. As long as you recite Amitabha Buddha's name in the Bardo state, he can receive and lead you there. You are thus propagating the Buddha Dharma. This is not to say how great you are. It is that you are telling others what you know. Then this life of yours, this 100 years, might truly be of infinite merit and very valuable. Some practitioners say, I can't arouse it like that. I don't even want to tell them. I find everyone I see annoying. I don't want to tell them. Let them fall into the 3 evil paths. They are bad, very bad. Otherwise, why would I be so miserable? Everyone around me is a bad person, and I can't arouse it. I'm faking it. That bodhicitta you told me about. For me, it's just fake and dry. I don't love sentient beings because I'm very miserable. How could I love sentient beings? I'm so miserable myself. How could I fall in love with them? That love seems non-existent, like a desert inside my heart. It doesn't matter. Even if it's fake, bring a little of it. Arouse it even if it's fake. Think about a child, a 7-year-old child, a 3 or 4-year-old child, saying, Mom, I want to be a scientist in the future. Do you think they are being hypocritical? They might rank 20th or last in every exam in the class. Do you think they can become one? They say, I want to surpass so and so, be just like so and so, like that scientist. I want to become a person like that in the future. Your current aspiration is, I want to learn from Amitabha Buddha and Shakyamuni Buddha. I want to be like them for the suffering beings of all heavens and the 10 directions, to build a land of ultimate bliss and tell them the path to liberation. You aren't being hypocritical. Even if it's fake, even if your heart is like a desert, this is not hypocrisy, it's just being like a child. This way, when you are reborn, Amitabha Buddha will welcome you, and you won't easily end up in the borderlands. Because you are a Buddha currently, it is Shakyamuni Buddha in our world. Although we are in the Dharma ending age, his teaching for a generation hasn't ended. We have encountered the Buddha Dharma and met his Dharma giving. You have learned about this world's path to liberation. What dependent origination and emptiness of nature is in its essence the thought of dependent origination and emptiness. You have learned about the Nianfo Dharma door, real mark Nianfo, how to hold a name, how to practice samatha vipassana, and how to liberate the 6 sense bases. How to liberate these 6 sense bases. The sequence for this is in the Surangama Sutra. In the future, there will soon be a lecture on the Surangama Sutra, so everyone please pay attention to that then. It will introduce in detail the perfect penetration of the ear base and how the eye base becomes perfectly penetrating. Once they are opened, you become a Buddha in this very life. So you can arouse bodhicitta. Bodhicitta is the mind to achieve unsurpassed, right and perfect enlightenment and to benefit sentient beings. That is called bodhicitta. After arousing this mind, then carry this vow to be reborn in the Western Land of Ultimate Bliss. We will be welcomed and respected by the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the Western Land of Ultimate Bliss. You will be in correspondence with the Buddhas and you won't be in a rush to be reborn. Once you have aroused bodhicitta, your life already has value. You are on the same platform as the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are with you because you think the same way they do this every day. Even if it's a bit hypocritical, even if it's a bit fake, even if your heart is dry inside, it doesn't matter. If you arouse it in the morning and lose it in the afternoon, no problem, we'll just pick it up again. If the lustful mind can't be cut off, we'll take it slowly. If you want to fall in love, go ahead and fall in love for a few days. It doesn't matter. None of this affects it. Cultivation is a gradual matter. You must give yourself confidence. Besides, cultivation is quite simple. It is just these things. Then, one part is liberating the six sense bases, understand emptiness, then liberate the six sense bases, and you have achieved the way. Even if you don't achieve the way in this life, you move to another world to continue cultivating. Because going to the Western land of ultimate bliss is not just for happiness. The ultimate goal of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in building that world is to allow everyone to become a Buddha in the midst of ultimate bliss. This is the common vow of all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Look at Samantabhadra, Manjushri, Avalokiteshvara, and Mahastamaprapta. These great Bodhisattvas all go to the Western land of ultimate bliss. They could become Buddhas in other worlds as well. Even if they came to the Saha world, it wouldn't affect them anymore. Because they are Bodhisattvas of equal enlightenment, the suffering of this world, whether much or little, no longer has much impact on them. But why do Samantabhadra and Manjushri take the lead in wanting to go to the Western land of ultimate bliss? It's not that that world is better than the Saha world, and they want to go because they also want ultimate bliss. It's not like that. It is because they are expressing a common wish of sentient beings and Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, the ultimate wish. The ultimate wish of all Buddhas and all Bodhisattvas of equal enlightenment is that before you become Buddhas, while we are all cultivating and haven't yet become Buddhas, the Buddhas can share their state of great nirvana with you, giving everyone practical benefits. To give an example, the state of Amitabha's Western land of ultimate bliss is that after Amitabha has realized the state of great nirvana, regardless of whether you have cultivated or not, whether you believe in Buddha or not, as long as you go and recite his name, you can share in the state of great nirvana and share in ultimate bliss. But in our world, that cannot be reached. Even if you are very wealthy and you buy a villa for your mother, giving her whatever she wants and letting her live there, can she be happy? She won't be. Why? Because her greed, anger, ignorance, arrogance, and doubt haven't been purified. She has a lustful mind and a selfish mind. So when you possess everything, you are still annoyed. Why? You will be bored and look for something to do. Therefore, in our world, before your habitual desires are purified and the six sense bases are liberated, before your mind nature and mental lust are exhausted, even if you possess fame, wealth, and love entirely, you will not be happy or joyful. Sometimes you will still have regrets. You will specifically want the thing you don't have. You will always find something missing. But in the Western land of ultimate bliss, it's different. In the Western land of ultimate bliss, from the moment of your rebirth, you begin to be purified, because the womb is manifested through merit. You are not manifested from the father's essence and mother's blood. You are a lotus, manifested by Amitabha Buddha, a lotus womb, with the 9 grades of lotuses as parents. We are all Amitabha's children. You could call it being second generation rich. You are born second generation rich, truly winning at the starting line. Because from the moment you enter the womb, you begin to transform. Because you are in a lotus womb manifested from merit, you then enter the 8 merit water. In that time and space, there is 8 merit water. What is that 8 merit water for? While you are in that lotus womb, you still have the imprints of the Saha world. You are there dreaming, and like a dream, it keeps cleaning away your imprints, using merit to clean them. Non-discriminating merit, formless merit, merit that is detached from signs, these allow you to wake up. It could be said that by the time you are born from the lotus, you have already seen the nature, or nearly so. So after you come out, you won't cause trouble in the midst of ultimate bliss. Whatever you see, you are very happy and joyful. Of course, the environment of the land of ultimate bliss, the wind, water, rain, and everything else is all reciting and explaining the principle of emptiness to you. Because everything is a manifestation of Amitabha Buddha. Buddha is omnipresent, formless, and everywhere. It is precisely because he is formless that he is everywhere. Of course, the one who gives Dharma talks in the Western Land of Ultimate Bliss is also called Amitabha Buddha, but that wind is also him, and the flowers are also him. They are all him, including the bowl you eat from. They are all his manifestations. He has prepared for you everything you liked, but whose desires were not satisfied in the worlds of the 10 directions, in the Land of Ultimate Bliss. They are all satisfied. Desires don't think they aren't. Your desires are satisfied for you. If you had no money, the ground is paved with gold. Don't we humans like gold? So when Shakyamuni Buddha came, he only introduced a part of the Land of Ultimate Bliss, the part suitable for us humans. The other parts weren't introduced because humans wouldn't understand them. So what we see is only the satisfaction of human desires, even not needing to wash clothes or sew. You know, in ancient times, many women look at them washing and cooking was very hard, and they had no time to cultivate. When they saw this line in the Infinite Life Sutra, they made a vow to be reborn, because they wouldn't have to wash clothes, cut cloths, or weave. They felt that world was too beautiful because it was so beautiful. One didn't have to weave clothes. We don't feel that's beautiful now because we don't have to wash clothes by hand. We have washing machines. In our world, the 2 words ultimate bliss are enough for us to go. We don't need to look at much else. You feel that ultimate bliss must be good. The Buddha doesn't speak falsely. It is also an illusory word, but so is the Saha word. However, because Amitabha's merit and the power of his vows are firm, that word is eternal and infinite. Time and space are infinite and eternal. That is why it's called the infinite light and the infinite life. Your lifespan is infinite, which is why Amitabha is also called infinite life, Amitayus. So in the future, when you read the Infinite Life Sutra, Amitabha is called infinite life. It's just that Kumarajiva later translated it as Amitabha. So infinite life, no death, no birth. In the end, you will understand no birth and no cessation there. That truly is infinite life. This is mental suffering, physical suffering, and mental suffering. At all times, our minds must be settled and stable, because you have a refuge. So we have also prepared gifts for you in the Bardo intermediate state. While we are alive, we have also prepared many Dharma doors of refuge. At the beginning of taking refuge, you must take refuge in the Buddha Dharma. It's okay if your feelings have nowhere to be anchored. First, anchor them in Buddhism. Anchor them in meditative concentration. If you can't cut things off, just keep them for now. Keep them. Put them aside. You don't need to cut them off. It's okay. And don't go thinking something is ugly, defiled, or pure. Don't have those thoughts. You only need to persist in cultivation. For those of us who are young, we hope to achieve a decent realization in this life. At the very least, a bottom of the bucket falling out, where the bases, objects, and consciousness no longer affect us. Maybe one day, when time, place, and conditions align, maybe one day suddenly, like a blind cat bumping into a dead rat, you'll become enlightened. Once enlightened, we continue to cultivate cultivation after enlightenment. The path will become very clear. Also, for those who are older, like 80 or 90 years old, they keep thinking, what if I leave? What if one day the time is, at this time, simultaneously practice the Nianfo Dharma door. Practice the Nianfo Dharma door while hearing, contemplating, and cultivating the real mark. Then, take what you know, these are all merits, and tell those around you, that is Dharma giving. Buddhism is just these things, meditative concentration. Right Samadhi. When killing, stealing, and sexual misconduct are exhausted, right Samadhi will naturally find you. You don't need to practice for it. When killing, stealing, and sexual misconduct are exhausted, the mind will naturally find it. It is mainly lust once the lustful mind is entered. and then some of the alaya vijnana is broken. Through the alaya vijnana contains information from lifetimes upon lifetimes. It is never destroyed. It's stored in your subconscious. The things in the alaya vijnana are the warehouse. When breaking through these, it involves diet and sleep. It's not just your lustful mind. First, the lustful mind must be exhausted. If you truly want to practice and realize, for real, if you want to achieve the way and have accomplishments in this life, wanting to ascend the stages, the first thing is to cut off the lustful mind. Then diet and sleep must gradually be purified and reduced. Only then will you gradually realize it. First, achieve the emptiness of the person, then achieve the emptiness of phenomena. The four great elements first achieve the emptiness of the person. The sequence is first the emptiness of the person. Then all phenomena become empty. It's not about emptying the outside first. If you abandon the whole world and sit there, you are still a common person. So first achieve the emptiness of the person, then the emptiness of phenomena. Then both are empty and not arising. Then you obtain the patience of the non-arising of phenomena. Anutpatika dharma shanti. This patience of the non-arising of phenomena is the state of no birth and no cessation, the state of nirvana, the state of a great bodhisattva. This is the sequence of cultivation. If everyone studies the Buddha Dharma, it is these things. If you practically cultivate it, if it's just a belief, then just believe. I have a belief. I believe in Buddha, but what is Buddha? You don't know for now. Anyway, you go and offer incense on the 1st and 15th of the month, kowtow, and pay respects. You are kind in your heart and do some charity. This is a human world belief, believing in Buddha. But when many things happen, you can't handle them. You feel that this belief in Buddhas and Bodhisattvas has no power. But there are also some beliefs that are very powerful. The person is usually very kind. They do a lot of merit and service and have helped many people. Their good affinities can ripen meaning when they encounter hardship, like the serious matter of life and death. They feel they can leave it to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and accept their fate. This also counts as a kind of strength. But this kind of strength is a very helpless acceptance. You are very helpless and feel that since the suffering is there and you really can't find a reason, you just accept your fate and leave it to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. If you want me to die, I'll die. That is a very ignorant acceptance of fate. Doesn't that feel a bit unreconciled? But true cultivation, the reason Shakyamuni Buddha came to this world to propagate the Buddha Dharma is to tell you to take your destiny into your own hands. You should even have freedom over birth and death, not just helplessly accept your fate. It's not like that. It's about letting destiny be in your hands, making time and space become illusory before you. So, for everyone's cultivation in studying Buddhism, you must continue to hear, contemplate, and cultivate. When you cultivate and listen, you must use your brain. You must hear and contemplate and think. You must think. Once you understand, put it all aside for a moment, and then sit here to cultivate. But what is it to finally break through views? Many people say, my intellectual obstacles are heavy. When those who have studied for many years break through these views, when breaking through these intellectual obstacles, they should pay attention to things like diet and sleep, especially diet, which has quite a large impact on your views. Don't think these things don't affect you. If you eat a lot, your views cannot be broken through. You can't leave the boat to step onto the shore. Therefore, diet, sleep, and the lustful mind, these are all what keep you from achieving the way, what keep you from leaving the human realm. You are a human. If you want to leave the human realm, the instinctive desires of the human realm must be purified. It's not asking you to cut them off violently or to become a monastic. Becoming a monastic doesn't necessarily mean you are pure. Do think that once you shave your head, you've shaved away the 7 emotions and 6 desires. I am not belittling our monastic teachers. Hair is hair, and the 7 emotions and 6 desires are what they are. Of course, taking the precepts will bring gains. But whether we are lay people or monastics, we must understand the path of cultivation. Once we understand, we know where we are stuck, where the obstacles are, where we are concluding affinities, and where we are repaying affinities, where a problem has appeared, and how to move past it. Only then are we clear and not confused. That is to say, if you are suffering with total clarity, there is no problem. You won't become depressed. If you suffer while being clear, you won't become depressed. If you suffer with total clarity, you won't become depressed, nor will you seek revenge, nor will you be unreconciled. You won't think, I might as well be reborn, and you won't commit suicide. How rare is it? You were reborn. The Buddha said that being reborn as a human is like a blind turtle in a great ocean where there is a single wooden plank with a small hole. And that blind turtle suddenly sticks its head into that hole. It is that difficult to come to the human realm. Think about how the time, place, and conditions had to align for you to come. Although we think there are too many humans, too many, how many can there be? The number of people on earth is finite, just that many. How many people are on earth now? 7 billion. 7 billion? Well, many species have more than that. Ants, right? There must be more than 7 billion. Many species have gone extinct, but some are numerous flies, mosquitoes, and so on. They are very numerous as soon as they appear. Our human species is actually not that numerous. It is a finite number, something that can be counted. Some species can't even be counted. It wasn't easy for 7 billion people to come here. Cherish it. Since you are here, endure it for 100 years. It wasn't easy to come. So endure, even if it's uncomfortable, experience it. And there is one more thing to tell you. If you go to the land of ultimate bliss, it's too happy you won't be able to experience what suffering is. It's quite fun. For instance, celestial beings, devas, the people in our heavens, they don't even know what affliction is. A question they often come and ask is, what is affliction? They see that you all understand it. Humans are so wise, they all know what being annoyed is. Celestial beings don't know. No one even needs to explain this. Look at how everyone can give a whole list. What is affliction? Everyone has their own definition. Celestial beings don't know. They will never experience it. Celestial beings are very curious. This is to say, in a state of meditative concentration. A celestial being once asked me, what is affliction? They were even embarrassed to ask, feeling as though they were very low level because they saw humans knew but they didn't. I said, it's no wonder. You haven't experienced it. Just like we don't know what ultimate bliss is, because we haven't experienced it. So sometimes you come and experience these issues, so that in the future you can tell them about it. That's capital. Just kidding. But this world has much wind and rain and many unpredictable factors. If killing, stealing, and sexual misconduct don't stop, there will be many disasters for sentient beings, plagues. Natural disasters. The 3 disasters and 8 hardships. Many disasters might come. Of course, humans are called the soul of all things and stand at the top of the food chain on earth. They say human thought is very vast, and now it's the internet age. Our knowledge reserves and understanding of the universe, space and time are very broad. Therefore, if our killing, stealing, and sexual misconduct don't stop, it will cause many impacts on earth. So we must purify our own minds. As Buddhism says, purify one's own mind. Do no evil. In this way, you are purifying time and space. Many people ask me, how can I help with the pandemic and so on? You help by purifying your own mind. Because this time, space, and world are produced by the common karma of sentient beings. If you purify your own mind, you are eliminating karma. Isn't that a little less and a little less? Slowly it will stop. Many things will stop. Because we can't do too much. Each of us is very tiny. including myself. I am very small. Sometimes you get tired and exhausted. You can't do much. You don't have 3 heads and 6 arms. What can you do? So each of us is tiny. Our strength is tiny. But like the strength of a firefly, there is still some light. It's okay. You must see your own value. You aren't comparing yourself to every individual person. Look at where we stand among the species, among all the species on Earth. We humans stand above all things. We humans are the soul of all things among all species. Now many species can no longer understand humans. They are too clever. They seem like gods. They don't know what humans are up to, even flying into space. We should be proud. You must see what you possess. Don't always focus on the immediate gains and losses before your eyes. Another point is that everyone should have high pursuits. If you arouse the mind to achieve unsurpassed right and perfect enlightenment, you can endure the immediate gains and losses, the fear of gain and loss, and those small hardships. You won't care too much. If you stare at this cup every day, as soon as it breaks, you will be incredibly sad and won't want to live. You forgot maybe some people go and commit suicide after a breakup. They might have forgotten that for several years they were staring only at this cup. Once the cup broke, they couldn't live on. But where did the problem occur? For several years before, they focused their entire life on that cup. That is a manifestation of a lack of wisdom. That deserves a scolding. You should at least look at this pen too. Your eyes shouldn't be entirely captivated by the cup. There is more to life than just romantic love. Furthermore, you aren't living alone. You have parents, siblings, many friends who love you, many people, even the suffering of this world. If you are a Mahayana Bodhisattva, even if the whole world doesn't love you, the suffering of the people of this world is closely related to you. Because there is common karma. And within that common karma, there is a portion of your karma power. Don't think common karma is only everyone else's and not our own. We are also karma creators. Because whether it is suffering or happiness and joy in this world, it is all created by our common karma, created by our upside-down dreaming, including this time and space. So our eyes can only see human time and space. The eyes of celestial beings see celestial time and space. Even if a celestial being were sitting right here, they would see celestial time and space. Therefore, there is no fixed sign. The world has no fixed sign. For example, this cup of water, isn't it often used as an example? A celestial being sees it, and perhaps they see lapis lazuli, a hungry ghost. Preta sees it and sees scorching flames. A human sees it as water. And perhaps a dragon sees it as air, its home. So, is there actually this cup of water? There is no fixed sign. For humans, it exists. Your human path, eyes, and your human eyes are here. So this cup of water is here, and you also need it to quench your thirst. If you turn into a hungry ghost today, even if the water were right here, you wouldn't be able to see it. You know? Where did the cup of water go? Did it disappear? Was it moved by supernatural powers? Did the Buddha move it away? No. It is your karma-carrying eyes. Because a hungry ghost is a hungry ghost, he must enjoy the retribution of hunger and thirst. Therefore, he can never see food and water. Even if you took food and water and put them in front of him, they would turn into stones. That is to say, his eyes cannot see them. This is called the impurity of the 6 sense bases. Do you know where that karma power comes from? It's not necessarily that he did so many bad things like killing or arson. It is his habitual tendencies and desires. He has many habits: jealousy, anger, complaining, possession, control, conquest, and suspicion. These habits, along with his constantly inflating desires, his comparisons, and possessions. As soon as his habits are triggered, he looks outward. It's always everyone else's fault, not mine. This then turns into actions, and the time and space are then created. When everyone does that together, It creates a common time and space. When he does it alone, it becomes his own time and space. So it is his habitual tendencies. Sometimes we see a person who is very kind, but it seems their good retribution never ripens. Why? They must realize that in their life, there must be a habitual tendency that is particularly heavy. For example, jealousy, anger, resentment, energy, complaining, or whatever. They have already formed that habit. As soon as they open their mouths, they complain. And slowly those around them all become karmic creditors who give them more to complain about. It's a summoning. It's all the same. So, when you feel you are very kind, when you feel you have done much merit in this world and done charity, when you are very kind and you want the good retribution to ripen, then you must adjust your habits of greed, anger, ignorance, arrogance, and doubt. Your desires cannot be too inflated. You cannot just do whatever you want. Sometimes, at the very least, we don't do things that hurt others. We have a baseline. Some people say we humans are no good, saying goodness has a baseline, but evil has no baseline. That is why there is the Avicii hell. Goodness has a baseline. If one does just a little bit, they want a return. I thought about it and wanted to refute it. I said, it seems we humans aren't like that. We also give selflessly. But later I didn't dare to speak up. I felt that sometimes we are indeed very weak. We feel that if we do a little good deed, we want people to say a couple of nice things to us. Actually, it's that we are very fragile. It's that we have very little self-confidence. Our goodness needs others to affirm it. I'm a bit good to others. I do a good deed. Could you please praise me a bit? Or acknowledge me a bit? Or love me just a little? Look how good I am to you. Can you be my good friend? Actually, it's a lack of self-confidence. Why is it said that evil has no baseline? They say, look, he enters the Avicii hell and just keeps going down. As long as the temptation is big enough, he can commit murder and arson. Many people are like that. But we are too poor. We have too many regrets, too much dissatisfaction. We are too impoverished. We are still humans now. If you were a hungry ghost, you might commit murder and arson for a piece of bread because you are too hungry. We have nothing, so we can't resist temptation. Our inner selves aren't noble and wealthy enough. How could the sentient beings of the Western land of ultimate bliss be tempted? Their feelings have nowhere to be anchored. Their feelings are right here. They don't need to be anchored. They are like the sun, they shine. It's not that they want to shine on all things. They just are shining. Their feelings don't need to be anchored anywhere. They have no place for feelings to be anchored. Everything they think of comes to be. They are too wealthy, so they don't need anything. No temptation can tempt them. In the words of the 10 directions, nothing from any world can tempt them. Because Amitabha Buddha, in the Western land of ultimate bliss, inspected hundreds of millions of worlds, then took the best things from all those worlds and put them all into this land of ultimate bliss. He moved them over. He took treasures, many of the jewels in the land of ultimate bliss, the kind of diamonds everyone often wears, are used for building houses and walls in the land of ultimate bliss. The thing we use to express love, that carrot, whatever in the land of ultimate bliss, it's used for building walls, for building houses. And those precious pearls above the meditation hall, those are like the night shining pearls in the dragon palace. Those pearls are things that even celestial kings in the worlds of the 10 directions have never seen. You know, they are wealthy to such an extent. So you won't be tempted by the worlds of the 10 directions. Therefore, we humans are also excusable. Our evil is also excusable. So forgive yourselves. But still, do not fail to do a good deed just because it is small. Try your best to arouse bodhicitta, including even if we seek rebirth in the Pure Land. The first priority is to become a Buddha, to help sentient beings like Amitabha Buddha does, and to go to the most suffering places like Shakyamuni Buddha did. Our Saha world is called the world of five turbidities. Among the worlds of the 10 directions, it is a place where suffering is very heavy. Shakyamuni Buddha, came a Buddha, returning by his vows to tell us there is a path to liberation. In this so miserable triple realm and 6 paths, there is a path to liberate oneself from samsara, and that is the Buddha Dharma. Then he told us, if in this lifetime, 100-year lifespan is too short and you can't be liberated, you can migrate to the Western Land of Ultimate Bliss to continue studying emptiness. What Amitabha Buddha teaches is the same as what Shakyamuni taught. You go there to continue your education. It's not that the teaching has changed. It's still the view of emptiness, still the thought of dependent origination and emptiness of nature. Because he is explaining the ultimate truth of time and space, because the land of ultimate bliss is also time and space. It is also a time and space, and it also has sentient beings. So everyone should persist, live well, lead a good life, and then go and cultivate well. It wasn't easy to come here once. It wasn't easy. Then, when we leave, we recite the Buddha's name, and maybe some people's cultivation will even take a few others with them as they soar upward. It doesn't matter, so don't be afraid. Don't be frightened. Anyway, it's only these few decades. Even if it's bitter, how bitter can it be? Some people suffer from illness. I think being sick is relatively bitter. Pain, fear, actually, a lot of it is fear and annoyance. And being sick, the torment of that pain. And having no hope, the kind of terminal illness where there is no hope, that is what crushes you. It's not really the disease itself. There is no hope anymore. The doctor says you have a terminal illness, and your future is spent in constant disappointment, struggling against fate. Put it aside for a moment. Anyway, we all have terminal illnesses. At 100 years old, everyone has to die. To be honest, we all have terminal illnesses. It's just that some die young, and some live to 100. At 100 years old, everyone is pretty much dead anyway. Everyone is sentenced to this from the moment they are born. 100 years in this world, roughly around 100 years old. So there are no regrets. Live well, even though there's a pandemic or whatever. But don't be afraid. Go and understand. How are the time and space of this world produced? It is because of our upside-down dreaming and because our killing, stealing, and sexual misconduct are heavy that these disasters appear, or these retributions, the common karma of sentient beings. We purify our inner hearts and stop killing, stealing, and sexual misconduct. Killing and stealing are relatively less common for practitioners who recite the Buddha's name. But lust, because it is a matter of mutual pleasure. People feel it hasn't hurt anyone else. So everyone thinks, I haven't hurt anyone. I love him, her, he, she loves me. You think it's not wrong. You even put it in a very important position, as if putting it on the same level as killing and stealing is an exaggeration. But Buddhism puts lust right there with killing and stealing in the 5 precepts. These are the root 5 precepts. Abstaining from killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, and intoxicants. It is placed together with lying, killing, and stealing. The reason this lustful mind is so important is that the wisdom of Buddhism relies on right samadhi. Only through right samadhi can wisdom be opened. Without right samadhi, we cannot open wisdom. Without samadhi power, we cannot open perfect wisdom. We have no way to awaken to or witness enter the Buddha's view. But the lustful mind affects right samadhi, so it is placed alongside killing and stealing. This lustful mind can lead to many of your habitual tendencies. If you have lust, but no habits, that might be okay. But you will definitely have them. Some might say, aha, the teacher said, so I shouldn't have habits inside. I can love one person today, and another tomorrow. I have no habits. I'm not jealous. I'm not a possessive, just endless love. Be careful of the retribution that is called playing with fire and getting burned. Because those actions of yours will make many people suffer. That is playing with fire and getting burned. It truly is playing with fire. Emotions are fire. Sometimes when they burn, people can't control them. The triple realm is like a burning house. Even for those of us who are currently heartbroken, even if someone doesn't love you, don't be in too much pain. The Buddha said the triple realm is like a burning house. You must vow to be liberated from suffering, not just from that person. If you are thinking, teacher, help me be liberated from him, her, it's very hard for you because you are fixated on them. Even if you are fixated on this cup, if it breaks, I can't make it not break. I can't make it stay together. I also have no way to restore it. I don't have that much power to make a cup. Or to make someone who doesn't love you again and still be so passionately in love. It's impossible. I can only tell you to be liberated from the entirety of suffering. In this life, if you don't be liberated from suffering, if you are heartbroken over this person today, tomorrow it will be that person. You might fall from one trap into another. You will likely be heartbroken again. If it's not you being heartbroken, it's the other person. Either way, it's the same. Everyone focuses on their own suffering and doesn't focus on the other's suffering. Anyway, when you abandon someone, you are very happy. When they abandon you, you aren't happy. That's how it is. Look at it. Isn't that how it is? Everyone hopes that they abandoned the other, not that the other abandoned them. The Buddha said we are just playing in the burning house of the triple realm. You must get out of this house. Otherwise, one day you will definitely be burned by the fire. This is the teaching of the Lotus Sutra. From the start, Shakyamuni Buddha said, sentient beings are playing in the burning house of the triple realm. I had no choice, so I created a Buddha Dharma in the human world. Arhats, stage ascending bodhisattvas, he gives you many rewards. Supernatural powers. Arhats are the first among men. The establishment of these fruition positions are all just deer carts, horse carts, and toys. He lets you out to see. Look, what I have. I have the Buddha Dharma. Come over, come with me, and you can be liberated. You can be without suffering. All of the Buddha Dharma, in the end, is nothing more than leading you out of the burning house so that you aren't hurt and then telling you that it was a dream. You were in a dream state. Being burned by fire was also a dream. It's just that you were having a nightmare. If you want to be liberated, I am telling you, you must wake up from the dream. Otherwise, you cannot be liberated. Even if you are liberated today, tomorrow you will continue. Next year, the year after, you will start again. So your whole life is spent suffering setbacks in emotions. Finally, the heart turns cold, saying, this world isn't worth it. The human world isn't worth it. The heart is like a desert, and the heart starts to be ice cold. Why? Because of the lustful mind. The lustful mind leads our hearts to become numb, like a desert, and then like a cold hell, icy and indifferent, and then slowly to depression, and then slowly to not cherishing oneself or this world. If you don't love yourself and don't love this world, who would want to stay another step in this world? If you don't love it, why would you want to benefit it? We must achieve a good state through cultivation. The body can be sick because your reward body hasn't been achieved, but the mind cannot be sick. The mind cannot be sick is not just something to say. It means your heart should be filled with warmth and sunshine every day. So where did this warmth and sunshine come from? The 6 paramitas and 10,000 practices. Hasn't Shakyamuni Buddha given them to you? Giving, patience, precept keeping, diligence, and meditative concentration, aren't they all there? Giving, precept keeping, patience, benefiting others. In fact, it's nothing more than benefiting others, and then hearing, contemplating, and cultivating. So, cultivate what Shakyamuni Buddha came to tell you. He came to explain the path to liberation. Remember, when you are suffering, you must think of the Buddha. Don't just offer him an apple and think that's enough. It's not like that. You must know what he came to say. That Buddha statue sitting there, what is he doing with his legs crossed? Look at all the Buddha statues. His legs are crossed in double lotus or single lotus. And those arhats are pinching their ears. That's not to show you they are cleaning their ears. It's that in that state, they are all in a meditative state because they have attained right samadhi. Arhats, free from desire, because they are free from desire. So in every state, eating, drinking, and sleeping, every action in life is within right samadhi. They are called arhats, free from desire, full fruit arhats. They have already renounced love and desire. A first fruit arhat is someone for whom this world no longer has much influence. Their mind is very pure. Why does it no longer influence them? It's not that their mind obtained a thing. No. It's that they no longer pay attention to it. They have renounced it. They don't create trouble. Do you know? Much of our trouble is self-sought. If you don't fall in love, how can you be hurt? If you don't fall in love, can romantic love hurt you? I don't believe it. Arhats don't fall in love. When they see a woman, they only look at her toe tips, although this is not ultimate. But at the beginning, young monks can't do it. At the beginning, the Shramanarakas, novices, don't have enough samadhi power. They still can't look at a woman and not be tempted. They can't do it yet. But for an arhat free from desire, the desires and habits of this world no longer affect them. Do they still have habits? If they were left-handed, they are still left-handed. They don't necessarily have to change to being right-handed. It's just that nothing affects them anymore. This includes your future cultivation of the perfect penetration of the ear base and eye base, for example. When the hearing and the heard are both exhausted, this doesn't mean you can no longer hear sounds. It means that all the sounds you hear no longer affect you. Speaking of practicing the Nianfo Dharma door, that is, as everyone cultivates, you must recite the Buddha's name, very single-mindedly, reciting and reciting. One day, I remember back then, I was also practicing Samatha Vipassana, using the Nianfo Dharma door. To practice, the mind wouldn't stop its wandering thoughts. So I recited the Buddha's name, using one thought to replace 10,000 thoughts. At that time, someone was cooking at my home. I had a kitchen, and the range hood in the kitchen was very noisy. When it was on, it sounded like a roller coaster. It was poor quality. Then you add the sound of stir-frying and the oil smoke, you just felt it was so noisy. Every day the kitchen wasn't quiet, and I felt that if I didn't turn on the hood, it would be smoky because the kitchen was small. Anyway, I complained every day. I had no money, see. I was poor and couldn't change to a big range hood. And I also envied people who had big houses. Whatever. Anyway, cultivation didn't stop, and complaining continued. Then I cultivated listening. One day, while standing there stir-frying, you weren't pure yet. You were reciting the Buddha's name in your heart. At that time, don't all beginners cultivate like this? Walking, sitting, reciting the Buddha's name? Then suddenly, I felt that the sound of the range hood had transformed into the Buddha's name. It was Namo Amitabha. Namo Amitabha. My ear base felt so comfortable. I didn't feel my ear base had become pure. But suddenly all the sounds in the kitchen transformed into the name of Amitabha Buddha. Suddenly, you awakened. Everything is produced from your mind science. Everything is your delusive thought. You also realize you suddenly understood the Western Land of Ultimate Bliss, where the wind also recites Amitabha's name. That is to say, everything is speaking the Dharma. What your mind is thinking is very important. What kind of state you are in is very important. These are things you bump into, like a blind cat bumping into a dead rat. It's not kung fu stable skill. It happened that day, but then it was gone. So for everyone, there is no problem. But that was something that happened because I was frequently cultivating on the cushion. It only appears by chance. If you say, "Teacher, can I just bump into a dead rat like a blind cat?" If you never prepare, never cultivate, you won't bump into it, I tell you. That's how it is. During this special time, what should everyone cultivate? Just those things. Seeing the nature. Holding the Buddha's name. If you seek rebirth, you must arouse Bodhicitta. If it's a dangerous time, arouse Bodhicitta to be reborn. If you go, you will certainly be a good student, and Amitabha Buddha will look at you first. Moreover, the flower will soon open and you will see the Buddha. You will have fewer nightmares in that lotus bud. Remember to arouse Bodhicitta and seek rebirth in the western land of ultimate bliss. Don't say, I just want to go there to enjoy myself. Is that thought okay? It's okay too. Buddhas and bodhisattvas won't think you are bad. I will also make a vow. If I achieve the way, I will share my state of great nirvana, ideally, sharing it selflessly with every disciple. Even if you don't cultivate, even if you say, Teacher, I didn't cultivate for a single day. If you can obtain my state of great nirvana, I am willing to share it. I don't have the power now. If I had the power, I would be like Amitabha Buddha. Building a world for you, it's like we build a huge bodhimana place of practice or whatever. That is also a way of sharing Amitabha, building a world. Tomorrow, I might say, let's build a sanatorium, a convalescent home, a retreat center for the disciples to use. This is just doing what you can do. That is being able to let everyone see practical benefits. It's not just me sitting here saying I want to be pure and you saying I'm not pure. It's not that you can only do it at the very end, but you must realize it before you can do it. That is to say, once your realization power arrives just as Amitabha's arrived, only then can you do it. That is, whether you cultivate or not, whether you believe in him or not, as long as you recite his name, his state of great nirvana can be given to you. This is the kind where one person achieves the way, and even their chickens and dogs ascend to heaven. This is the wish of all Buddhas and of all bodhisattvas of equal enlightenment, including Manjushri and Samantabhadra. Why do they go to the land of ultimate bliss? Come, go, and enjoy my state of great nirvana. I have achieved the way, but you haven't yet. But you should enjoy the state of great nirvana while becoming a Buddha. Don't suffer while becoming a Buddha. That is to say, don't you all cultivate too hard. Don't be so miserable while still needing to become a Buddha. But why can't we be helped right now? In fact, Shakyamuni Buddha is also helping, but your upside-down dreaming doesn't stop. So today I say, if you are heartbroken, don't be in pain. But you say you can't stop. I want to stop too. Who wants to be in pain? If you can't stop, what have you been doing for the last few decades? Why didn't you hear, contemplate, and cultivate the Buddha Dharma? You have no wisdom, so you can't stop. You are in ignorance, avidya, so you can't stop. You have indulged your desires, so you can't stop. Your habitual tendencies are like a waterfall pouring out. You can't stop. You are comparing yourselves. You are in greed, anger, ignorance, arrogance, and doubt. You are indulging your own habits in this world. You fear neither heaven nor earth. As long as you don't break the law and get caught, you have no scruples. Then how can you stop? When things happen, of course you can't stop. So stop cultivating from now. Cultivate until the moment you want to stop, and you suddenly can stop. Once you stop upside-down dreaming, you exit the sea of suffering. Stop upside-down dreaming, and we are Buddhas. Right here. A Buddha is not liberated. No one is tying you up. And a Buddha does not become a Buddha. Why do we need to become Buddhas? It is because your 6 sense bases of seeing, hearing, feeling, and knowing are here, within emptiness. They are like an upside-down dream. The Buddha said it's like 6 knots have been tied. These 6 knots must be untied. That is called the path of liberation. These 6 knots are the seeing, hearing, feeling, and knowing of the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and body. You are receiving retribution. You feel suffering. You feel bitter. So you feel this world is not an experience. You feel it is very bitter. So you want to be liberated. The Buddha tells you how to untie these 6 knots, and these 6 knots are a false appearance. But only after you untie them will you know. Before you untie them, you don't know. You think, how could these eyeballs be false? Western medicine says they are composed of such and such nerves. If they get sick, they can never be cured, or they are very hard to cure. Does Western medicine make sense? Yes. Western medicine is one system. They talk from the perspective of cells, cytology, and genes. Traditional Chinese medicine has its own theories of qi and meridians. Buddhism has its own theories. Buddhism says these your six sense bases are produced by delusive thoughts. Buddhism is a Buddhist system. These six bases are currently knotted. So, even if you fall into hell, it is nothing more than the six bases experiencing the suffering of hell. Whatever you see, you suffer and fear. Whatever you hear, you suffer. Whatever you experience, you feel pain. So these six bases must be transformed. This is the transformation of qi and meridians. Once these six bases are untied, you have achieved the way you become a person like Amitabha Buddha or Shakyamuni Buddha. He did it through practicing meditative concentration. You must practice meditative concentration first. Become still. It's not about crossing your legs. It's not just sitting there, although you must sit. It is about shielding the six sense bases first. Don't let new information in, and let the old information untie. Slowly, cut these off. Then, many minds must be let go of many minds of comparison and the clinging to conditions. Thus, delusive thoughts are composed of a deluded mind and thought activity. Stop your thought activity and let go of your deluded mind, that illusory mind. For example, I am suffering. I am annoyed. What do I want to do in the future? Future inflation, a whole heap of it. You can continue planning. Life should have goals. For example, I want to do business. I want to make money. That's no problem. It is that illusory mind of yours at every moment, that restless mind. At every moment, you must train yourself to settle down. At every moment, you must train. My mind must settle. It must be clear and cool. If you are settled, it is clear and cool. It isn't hot. Then you must become still. Become still. Don't be restless. Be still. Be still. Of course, if you need to push someone, you still push them, but you can't get angry with yourself. If someone else pushes you, you don't get angry either. This is tempering oneself. Then at every moment, let your mind settle. Let your mind be pure. This is tempering. It's not to say that at every moment I'm thinking about practicing giving or thinking about this world or sentient beings. At every moment, let your mind be at peace. Let it be settled. If you aren't at peace, then there are habitual things inside. Ranked at number 1 is mental lust. I am still telling you truly, because once mental lust is exhausted, I tell you, you immediately have right samadhi. You immediately have the purity of an arhat. As soon as mental lust is mentioned, everyone thinks, what about my husband? What about my wife? Please don't think that way. Don't go home prepared to abandon your wife and children. Mental lust is a matter of your own heart. It hasn't a bit of a relationship with your wife or husband. Even if you marry 70 wives, if you throw the wives away, your mental lust is still there. If you throw the husband away, it's still there. If you marry a whole heap of them, mental lust is still there. If you have none at all, it's still there. That is your own business. Take care of your own heart. There is a phrase in the Surangama Sutra, holding the body so it doesn't move, holding the mind so it doesn't arise. First, hold the body so it doesn't move while cutting off mental lust. What is holding the body so it doesn't move? Do not let the 6 sense bases be dissolute. Don't look at handsome men or beautiful women. Don't look at yellow pornographic websites. Don't let the 6 bases be dissolute. Don't listen to decadent music, and so on. Anything that tempts you, stop it first. If there is a person or thing that can cause a mind of lust to arise, stop it first. If they can make you shake, don't look at them. When speaking with them, look at the sky or the ground. Just don't look at them because they can make you shake. Because you cannot remain stable. Don't we all start out that way? Very weak. This is a holding the body so it doesn't move. Start from your 6 bases not being dissolute. Cultivate. Holding the body so it doesn't move. Holding the mind so it doesn't arise means slowly, slowly. Men and women are equal. Old and young are equal. Don't play the ambiguity flirting game. It's actually a lack of self-confidence. If someone is good to that person but not to you, don't cry your nose. Pout. That is your possessiveness starting. Didn't we all experience it as children? When our parents held someone else's child, you wouldn't let them. You wanted to possess your mother. That is lust. Don't think it doesn't exist in childhood. It exists in old age too. Everyone has it. It's just that it manifests in different places. So it requires cultivation to cut off. It requires cultivating samadhi to cut off, cultivating samatha vipassana to cut off, and collecting the mind to cut off. Many subtle habits need cultivation and realization to be cut off. It's not something you can cut off just by thinking about it. It is instinctive desire. In the future, some practitioners from our company will become monastics to cultivate and realize. Some practitioners will take the lead using monastic life to renounce love and desire. Others will cultivate and realize as lay people. The Dharma doors for lay people and monastics are different. The 3 baskets and 12 divisions are called within the teachings. The Chen school is called outside the teachings. A special transmission outside the teachings, not established upon words. A special transmission outside the teachings means that in the future, it's about eating pancakes and drinking tea. Everyone's settling their minds in the midst of life, cultivating and realizing within every small matter, being at peace. Only then is it practically applied to life. Don't say you don't have samadhi power. Teacher, I can't settle down. Do you think you need to cultivate for many years before you can settle your mind in life? No. You are underestimating yourself. You must absolutely believe in yourself. Your original nature is Buddha. At the starting point, everyone is the same. Men and women are all born of parents. You don't need to compare yourself to Sun Wukong. He jumped out of a rock, so he learned supernatural powers faster than you. Didn't I just say yesterday, when he was breaking through good and evil, he traveled 108,000 miles. He had his own difficult points to break through, because he was a rock. He learned a bit of something, but then he couldn't distinguish between good and evil. He didn't have that compassionate heart in the middle. For him, it was either 1 or 2. There was no 1.5. So he had to follow Tang Sanzang to cultivate a compassionate heart, to cultivate the breaking of good and evil. That is the process of not clinging to signs and detaching from signs. But he learned supernatural powers very fast. The 72 transformations were very fast, because he had no lustful desire. He was from a rock, and his parents weren't father's essence and mother's blood. This sounds as if it's real. The novel Journey to the West is just like that. If everyone has any other questions, we can talk for a bit.